not the money. Cow, the face. So if you love your face, you can love me also. All right. Well, it is really a pleasure to be standing here in Yokohama with this joint Toastmasters Club meeting. Because Japan is my second home. Wow. Yes. Number one, I lived in Tokyo for 4 years, a long time ago, from 1962 to 1966. My parents are Japanese educated. So, and Yokohama is, as I said this morning, where I set sail to the United States. I started my quarter-of-a-century adventure. Why, when I was invited to speak, I thought, what subject can I connect with the audience here? And after some thought, I thought, we're leaders of men. Where have you heard of this before? Come on, I expect more from you. Toastmasters tagline, we're leaders of men. That was a tagline that was established just before I became the international president in 2013. So in my term as international president, I have spoken to many districts around the world on this very subject. Because I think it's a very important, it's very profound, and it's very difficult to understand. In a way, I think it's brilliant that we came up with this word leaders of May. Because Toastmasters is a much misunderstood organization. What is Toastmasters? We sell toast. We make speeches, some people think. But just speeches? Because speeches and communication is the other side of leadership development. So in all my years of speaking, I kept scratching. Do the audience get it? What does it mean to them? And as supposedly as a communicator and a Toastmasters, my main task is how do I get the message to the audience so they understand it? Because communication is not just about mentally saying something, explain, understood, but making them understand it in the heart. That's the essence of communication. So I take upon my challenge to use this subject, using my experience and how I've absorbed it, and see if I can communicate what I have feel about this. Many of you know I've been a Toastmasters now for 26 years. That's a big chunk of my life I invested in this. So why? What is it that I see in Toastmasters that attracted me to it? Besides the fact that I met my wife in Toastmasters, the biggest gift. I have a debt to repay. But the way I would say Toastmasters is the, and I've given talk, I call it that peeling the Toastmaster onion. There's many layers to it. And you never really get it. As Kazuko have medicine, it's called, the way she put it so well, Jinsei no Dojo, the practice field of life. Because in Toastmaster, you can see everything, all about life, about how we relate to one another, about how we become leaders. And yes, we are all leaders, whether you know it or not. Whether you're leading your family, your friends, your community, your club, and who knows, maybe your nation. The new female president of Taiwan coming up in May 20th, she never imagined that she would become the president, the first female president. So be careful. Destiny will tap you in the shoulder one day. You are the leader. We'll do it. So always be ready. So Toastmasters, for me, has been a practice. Of course, the obvious side is you serve a club officer president, roles, and so forth. You are practicing. And they become district governors. Some people have to do it twice, like Keiko here. She didn't get it right the first time, she do it again. And so on. I was just kidding. But more than that, and I think I have been very blessed and fortunate. I learned the Toastmasters, leadership, not only through Toastmasters, but I also was able to practice it in my career. And I just put it. I'm the chairman of 6 manufacturing companies. And basically, what is it I do? If you ask me, I exercise communication and leadership. And it's a kind of leadership. I think at my stage, I can say it works. I probably not dare to say that 5 years ago, but I think I said a certain confidence. All right, let me get to what I call the cycle of how we become leaders. First, you become aware of what is leadership about and what is it that you do practice. And then from that awareness, another important part is to reflect, be conscious. What is it that you do? Both good and bad, successful and unsuccessful. That's how we learn. And this is the beautiful thing about Toastmasters. It's a great place for reflection. We serve as club president. And you can look down and say, oh, how did I do? How come I was so good in this, successful, and how come I was not? That's where the real learning comes. And the third is the practice part. You become conscious, you practice, you do those things that you do. And when I say Toastmasters help me become aware, reflection is also part of the process. Practice is in the real world, in your work, whatever that may be. And then you become aware of the theories and then what are my ideas about leadership. How does it work? And reflect on that. The third part of what I said about the 3 cycles, Toastmasters. Second is running my businesses. And the third part, I was very fortunate to think about it, is we have a CPN Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to facilitation and dialogue. And dialogue, that's another whole different subject. She is the executive director. I'm just the chairman. I just sort of observe and learn on the side. But it's interesting, through this Toastmasters and the foundation, we talk about a theory, give me a chance to become more aware and reflect. And then I can take it up to the business world, how I practice this particular brand of leadership, which, by the way, is very close to Toastmasters. Here's a quiz to make sure everybody's awake after lunch. What are the core values of Toastmasters? Come on, I mean, you're Japanese Toastmasters. Well, the district governor is making hold back. We'll let the members go first. No, not you. If nobody answers, then maybe I'll come to you. But if you don't know, I give up. All right? What are the core values of Toastmasters? What do we believe in?
Integrity.
Integrity, number 1. There you go. 说得好，你好。Okay? Respect. Respect. What's next? Oh, come on. You have been Toastmasters.
Something starts with S.
Yes.
What?
If you don't know for 2 months, you're excused. This gentleman, you spend a lifelong in next year.
Yes.
I think she got it.
Well, who's that?
Service.
Service. There you go. And what's the fourth one?
Passion? Passion?
Passion? Well, that's nice, but not in Toastmasters. All right. That's fine. You
Can you give us a hint?
hint.
What does it start with?
Excellent. Well, actually, the way Joey did her training, she called it RISE. Put it, we change it. R-I-S-E. R for respect, which is very fundamental. We respect each other as human beings. We treat us equal. There's no hierarchy. Like, for example, I was the international president, and now I'm just an ordinary Toastmaster. So it's not about position, it's about who you are. Okay. R is for respect. Integrity. I don't know, for many of the young people here, how much I mean. The I word. I'm not talking about iPhone or I. I'm talking about integrity. I can say, with honesty, that's one thing that has contributed to my success, especially business success, and how powerful it is. And Toastmasters, this is perhaps attraction for Toastmasters, because Toastmasters and the values that I share very much with Toastmasters. Without integrity, you cannot be successful for a long time. For those who have been in business a long time, that's also important. All right, S word. What is significant about service? Anybody want to venture to say why S is part of our core value? What's so special about service? That's particularly in our foundation that built Toastmasters.
Service to help others.
Well, that's correct. But more importantly, it's our brand of leadership. Service leadership. We lead by serving. Because, and this is very appropriate in our time, the 21st century. The days of the authoritarian leadership is gone. Today, everybody has good education, everybody got a head, everybody can think. Why should I follow you? You follow because if this person is serving, you're giving. Your position of power, but it's only for 1 year. The minute you step down, you're just like everybody else. So service leadership is also very relevant in my work, even though my title is chairman of the board. What do I do? Basically, I communicate. I facilitate the general managers to bring out the good ideas and tap into the group wisdom. Why should they follow? Because, more than because I am the boss, I pay their salary, but because I listen to them, because I use their ideas. My first leadership lesson was when I became the president of my club, Prestige Toastmasters. I've been in Toastmasters only about 3 years. And the secretary from the previous night have not done the paperwork. And I was so upset because I tell you that if you don't do the paperwork, nothing happens. And I was getting upset. I talked very harshly towards him in a meeting. And then a friend of mine took me aside and says, George, you can't talk to Toastmasters like the way you talk to your employees. And that was a first bingo lesson. Because Toastmasters, they follow you, they do it because they choose to. Anytime they don't want to, they say, go jump. I remember Dan Rex, our executive director, CEO, he likes to talk about this hat that has a saying, I'm their leader, but where are my followers? And that is really the moral leadership. Toastmasters, they can resign and quit anytime they don't like. So you have to earn their trust, their respect. Ours is, might be say, the purest form of leadership. I often believe that if you can lead in Toastmasters, you can lead in any other situation. It is a philosophy of leadership whose time has come. It's becoming more and more relevant. Coming here, we last night met with a friend of Jory, who is a part of the Japanese facilitators. And he said Japan has 1,500 facilitator membership, which is one of the largest in the world. And I was very surprised by it. I think of Japan very much like most Asian society, very hierarchical, authoritarian. Facilitation is the opposite of that. It is talking about the leader that brings in the group wisdom and then lead from behind. The traditional leadership, you're in the front. But the new leadership is leading from behind. And that takes some adjustment, and it's hard to learn. And this is where Toastmasters, where you see all kinds of leaders in action. And if you are aware and reflect, why do some leaders succeed and some leaders fail? And let's be honest, a lot of leaders in Toastmasters have failed. From my 6 or 8 years on the board, I have seen, to be honest with you, the good, bad, and ugly. Really. And it's a shame. I mean, we make mistakes, it's okay. But sometimes these people who fail, it's because they're not aware. You said, what are they doing? They don't reflect on what they're doing. And without that, and then the practice, you make doing the same thing over and over again. And let's come back to that word, Jinsen no Dojo. We practice it. We make mistakes, but hopefully we improve. And this is why Toastmasters is a great practice field for that. Because it's okay to fail. Nobody's perfect. You make a mistake, fine, you move on, as long as you become aware and reflect on it, and then change in your practice. It is a place where there's no cost for trial and error. And I think this is why in my 26 years going through the organization, how I've learned so much, and how I am what is been called a lifer in Toastmasters. Because the second lesson I've learned in Toastmasters is that the more you give, the more you get. You don't learn by just sitting and listening to lectures. You practice the leadership. And then by serving, you become better and better at it. So this is where I was talking about, in Toastmasters. Rise. Okay, it's easier now. What does R stand for?
Respect.
Hey, you don't count. How about I?
Integrity.
There you go. S.
Service.
Leadership, service leadership. And when you do the R, I, S, if you have respect, if you have integrity, and you have a heart of service, I believe the E comes naturally. Excellence. That's, I must say, is what I have gotten out of Toastmasters. Now, I don't need to mention about the CPN Foundation, about dialogue. The dialogue is really also about service. It is about communication. And when practicing business, I'm very fortunate that using this philosophy, I cannot say for other people, but I can say for the last 25 years, it has worked well. Because people often wonder, how can you run 6 businesses, manufacturing businesses, and be successful at it. And this has come to the word that I used when I was district governor in the year 2004 and 5. And that's the word empower. Empower meaning not empower just yourself, but you're empowering other people. And when you empower other people, you have built a good team. They're working for you. And those of you who read the vision, viewpoint in Toastmasters magazine, I wrote an article one time called the 3 C's of Toastmasters. We joined Toastmasters to be good communicators. If you're a good communicator, you go into connecting. You're connecting with an individual. And that's really what the point of communication, you connected with them so that they follow you wholeheartedly. And then when you are successful at these 2, it leads to the 3rd C, which is called collaboration, which is another word for team building. And if you're good at building a good team, how can you fail? Everybody's working the best to make the success of the team. So it's about Toastmasters as the emphasis is not about you or the self. It is about others. It's a sense of humbleness and humility. And that's a new form of leadership. And this goes back to Zen, to Taoism, the ancient Asian philosophy of selflessness. So it helps them come full blow to what is the essence of leadership. Toastmaster of the day.